It's hard to believe that it's already been more than a year since we first met Ryan in his beautifully handcrafted 28-foot tiny house on wheels. Today we are back in the Ojai area visiting him yet again, only this time he's in a brand new and much more compact home. G'day Ryan!
Hey Bryce.
Good to see you again, dude.
You too, buddy.
And incredible to see your brand new tiny house on wheels.
Oh, thanks.
Now I have to say that I'm a little bit surprised that you built a new tiny house because your last one was just so beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit about what actually happened, why you sold the last one and built a new tiny house?
Well, kind of a long story, but we had a big fire here in town, had to evacuate. And during the evacuation, we had some serious winds. Tree limbs were flying into the road that I needed to leave on. And fire came through, burnt my location. I wasn't able to go back. And I was struggling to find a place to put the 28-footer. And I ended up just wanting to downsize quite a bit more, just for the mobility purposes. And I'm now living in this last creation, yeah. It's really tiny. It's an 8x13. We're definitely mobile, so new journey.
Firstly, the really incredible part of that story is that when those Ojai fires came through, you did actually manage to get your house out and you didn't lose it in the fires, which is amazing.
Yeah, luckily I can say that my house was saved for sure. It was definitely a blessing.
One of the things that really interests me about this project is the fact that you've really considerably downsized again. And what's really interesting to me is that normally when people do build a second tiny house for themselves, it almost always tends to be smaller than their first one.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I think once you go small, you learn the space is definitely usable and you don't need a whole lot, so you can go even tinier. And that's how I feel. I had a lot of empty spaces in the last house that I just didn't need. And that big one wasn't the weekend getaway type. I think that's what I ended up wanting more of was the ability to go to the beach. We live in a warm town in the summer, so I can essentially hitch this up, go to the beach for the week when we have those heat waves, and be able to escape some serious heat.
And of course, again, just like your last home, this one has this incredible warm timber aesthetic. You can tell that, like everything you build, this was really crafted with love. Can you tell me about the materials that you've used in this home?
Oh, yeah, thanks. A lot of reclaimed shingles from a big house in Montecito, Santa Barbara. A lot of redwood, old growth wine tank staves that were resawn for paneling. Sugar pine from Sacramento. Yeah, the list goes on. A lot of nice wood. A lot of fun putting it together.
I love the front door as well and what you've done with this porthole.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So they used to put these on boats, but I guess they don't make them anymore. And opens up, got some cross breeze, looks pretty cool.
What a find. And just like your last house, I see this one is solar powered?
Yeah, eventually those panels will be on the roof. I'm just now moving in, so there's a few things we need to do, but yeah, this is mostly solar powered. There is grid tie option, but most of my use is just from solar.
Do you have water hookups in this one, or does it have onboard tanks?
No tanks. It's got a water tank heater, 10 gallons, and it does have a fresh water connection for a hose, but no water storage. I didn't think I needed it. I think eventually I could add it if I did find myself needing some tank storage.
Well, I really can't wait to have a look on the inside and see how you've kitted it all out.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Oh man, this is lovely. That timber just hits you in here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a good feeling. And a lot of nice wood. A lot of it's old growth, some of it's pine from Sacramento. We did a redwood trim with the white pine. I think it's not too overwhelming like a dark wood if it was the main paneling scheme for the whole house.
The layout in here is just so clever as well. You've used this space tremendously well.
It's tight. There wasn't a set design per se, it was almost just a flat blank canvas, and then we came in here with tape on the floor, mapped out the bathroom. The kitchen counter made sense here just because you can have a long countertop and it's not in the runway or the space, and having the bed and the living room on one side kind of just created its own space.
What you have done over that side by lowering the loft is really interesting too, because you really lose the standing space in your living room. Was that just to bring down the overall height of the home to make it easier to transport?
Yeah, that had a lot to do with it. We needed to create a living room setting and more portability, and then also just more space availability inside here to have multiple people over. So we put the bed up in the loft, and then you have the hangout zone where everybody can just get together, have some tea, relax, watch a movie, that sort of thing.
And I really like the layout of your kitchen. For the size of this home, you have got a lot of counter space and some really nice features. Like, I love the Origo stove. This is actually one of my favorite tiny house appliances.
Yeah, mine too. I've grown to love that thing. It's alcohol based, so it's super clean burning. You can have a window open and you're not really smelling it like you would with propane. Space saving, so you can actually, you take it off the counter, put it in the cabinet here. Yeah, it works awesome.
The timber used in all of this cabinetry is just beautiful. These little organic accents, I absolutely love them.
Oh yeah, that was actually a carpenter bee that tunneled through some of this wine tank stock that I had. I was resawing this one for the cabinet face, and sure enough, there was the tunnel left over. I actually started sanding these out, and there was some bee pollen in there, and it actually fits my fingers like just perfect.
I am so glad that you kept that in, because just those little stories add a lot of character and beauty to the place.
I agree, I love it.
One of the really interesting things about what you've done with this tiny house is you've managed to hook up a solar hot water heater, like a solar electric hot water heater, haven't you?
Yeah, I swapped out the heating element for the AC energy, and I put in a DC element, and it runs directly off the solar. So in the daytime, I'll manually switch the energy on for the water heater, and then at night after a shower, I'll turn it off just to conserve battery life.
Do you actually find that you've got enough power to do that? Because heating water is very power hungry, and I would have imagined that that would be quite difficult off of a solar system.
Yeah, it's not the most efficient way to use solar energy unless it's thermal. But in my case, I'm always looking for energy to waste because during the day, all I have is the refrigerator going, there's no lights, and my battery's usually topped off because I don't use a whole lot of power, so there's plenty of it available.
And then behind us here is the bathroom, and this, again, very, very efficient what you've done with this.
Yeah, just a shower and a spot for a toilet. We managed to fit it in here. I don't know how we did it, but we did it.
Impressive. Now here at your parking spot, you've actually got an outside toilet and shower as well, don't you?
Correct. Yeah, I have the outhouse, so I just keep the compost toilet out there, and this is more for when I'm on the road trying to travel, and then we can bring the composting toilet. Me and my dog, that is.
Great. What you've done on the walls is really nice as well. What is that material?
It's a plaster-like finish. It's like skim stone, but it's actually just thin set that we sanded after we put on and put a high gloss sealer on it, and it's kind of got like the modern cement look.
It really does. So that's just the stuff that you'd normally put under tiles.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we were looking for a budget type finish, and it turned out pretty nice, and I've moved the house a few times now, and there's no cracks. So far so good.
And I like how you've used the storage above this space as well, and it looks like you've got all your camping supplies up there.
Yeah, I keep my backpack, I keep the sleeping pads, just various storage items up top.
Now, to access the loft over here, there's no ladder, so how do you get up there?
For right now, actually, I just hop up on the counter. It works all right. I'm gonna build a ladder eventually.
It definitely looks like a very cozy space up there, though.
Yeah, it sure is.
And then your lounge space over here. Obviously, it's definitely a little bit of a squeeze when you're first coming in, but as soon as you're actually sat on the day bed, it's, again, a very comfortable space.
It's quite comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the TV, the Xbox, and then a cubby with all the clothes, books. Managed to fit a lot in here.
Now, your clothes are quite minimal. Is that all the clothes you've got?
These are all my clothes, just about all I have, and all I really need. Keeps the laundry down.
Definitely. That fire is ridiculously cute.
I love that thing. It works so good, and it takes like, a log every hour or so, but when it's glowing, it's really nice and really warm.
And I imagine on a cold winter's night, you're probably not even going to use the sleeping loft. If it was me, I'd be crashed out right here on this bed next to the fire.
Exactly. It's nice to have two options.
So you've only just moved into this house, right? But how are you finding it so far?
So far, it's so great. It's a little tight sometimes, but that's why we have a deck in the back. I open up the door. It's plenty of room to move around. I could do yoga, meditate outside, and then this space down below, it's a nice space to have like a day nap and just relax. So there's plenty of room. I'm happy in here.
Now that you're actually living in this tiny house, does it feel like home already?
Oh yeah, the day I finished it, I was great. I was just so happy to move in.
Obviously, you were able to put the labor into this one, which is a huge cost component of it. But material-wise and everything, what did this actually cost you to construct?
Material-wise, we're probably in like 40 grand.
40 grand, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say with labor, a finished unit of this size with all the utilities, probably about 60 grand.
Brilliant. Well, you can definitely see how efficiently all of the materials in here are used to create a really nice space.
Thanks.
You are such a good woodworker. It is always such a pleasure to come and visit one of your projects. I really love how your downsizing journey just keeps on going smaller and smaller. And this is really another very beautiful house. Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
Thanks, brother.
Ryan's story for me is just another important reminder of why I really love tiny homes so much. The fact that he built his house on wheels was the sole reason that he managed to get out of harm's way in the fire. Otherwise, if it was a home on foundations, he really would have absolutely lost everything. The fact that that then has inspired him to downsize even further, really focus and hone in even more on what's really important in his home and build something which is super compact and super transportable really does just make so much sense to me. This is yet another beautiful build.